Hello, um, welcome to this entry level 3 construction qualification changes presentation. Firstly, if you logged into the webinar that we were going to hold on the 26th of March, unfortunately my laptop wouldn't connect to the internet, and so we was unable to broadcast that. Instead of rearranging, we thought it was easier to record this and send it out to you all, plus we can have it on our website for others to look at later. What this session is going to cover is why are we carrying out these changes, what are the new units going to look like. There's a slight change to their design, so we can guide you through that. What the entry 3 qualification structures, so what will we be offering? What do they contain? What's the content of those units? We'll look at the assessment materials we're producing, and also some of the support materials that we're developing as we develop the new units. So firstly, why are we changing things? As part of our agreement with Ofqual to be able to offer qualifications, we need to carry out regular reviews of what we offer to ensure that it's still fit for purpose, up to date. Both the NOCN and the C skills qualifications in construction are due for review, so we thought we'd use that opportunity to have a bit of a spring clean. One of the things was clear when we merged the two organisations is, one, we had quite a lot of replication, but also we had lots of different terminology. So you might find that a multi-trade occupation unit for that will be called multi-trade. It could be called multi-craft. It could be called multi-discipline. There could be hyphens. There could be gaps in the word. So it did make it very confusing, especially for learners. If they were looking for a course, they might not necessarily be able to associate a title at entry 3 with a title at level 1, and they wouldn't be able to work out what their progression route could be. That leads on to the progression routes. Obviously, if we've got standardised terminology right through entry 3 to level 2, it's going to make it clearer both for centres and for the learners if they're looking for a possible career path. At the same time, we wanted to tidy up the units, so we've changed the design. We're not drastically changing the content, so there won't be a massive need for you to change the way you deliver your courses. A lot of the content is going to be very similar, but it will be presented differently, and it's going to be presented in a way that I think will allow centres to be a bit more creative and to design their training to suit the learners and the local environment. So working on delivering skills that local employers want, that these young people could be moving into. We're offering more guidance in the unit, so it's making it much clearer on what you need to be delivering. And we're also revising the assessment, so getting away from that multi-guess option of 10 questions, and we're trying to make it much more engaging for the learners. So especially with the practical units, where it's a practical unit, almost all the assessment will be practically based. Now I should add here that these are only on the biblical trades. So at the moment we're only looking at painting, decorating, carpentry, plastering, brickwork and tiling. There was the intention that we would expand that, and I know we have had questions around formwork or highways work. Coming up fairly soon, the government have announced a moratorium on funding for new qualifications, and unless we've got a very, very strong business case. So that's not to say any new qualifications won't get funded, but it's going to be a lot harder. What we want to do at the moment is just concentrate on the things we're working on. Let's get those right, let's get those registered so that they'll be ready for delivery come September. And then we can, obviously the situation at the moment with things could change tomorrow. So it's not to say that we wouldn't develop new qualifications once the moratorium comes in, but when we do, we need to have a very, very strong business case. So leading on to the revised unit layout. So the first part, the sort of the title bar at the top of all units, that stays pretty much the same. You get your title, your level, the credit value and the GLH. We try to give you a bit of an aim. So what are we hope that this unit is going to achieve for the learners. And we also but we give you some guidance on how it's going to be assessed. So this one's a construction health and safety, and this will be assessed through tasks, worksheets that will be developed by NOCN, marked by the centres, and following our usual EQA procedures. Where things start to change is when we look at how we've laid out the individual learning outcomes. Now, there's still the learning outcome, that doesn't change. What has happened though is that we've got rid of assessment criteria. So we've got rid of that tick box almost exercise that we must hit that point, and that's it. What we're trying to do is make or help centres to deliver training that's relevant to the learners and not that's a sort of almost a generic nationwide, this is what everyone must do and that's it. Within the learning outcomes, we'll give you the delivery content. So that tells you what we're expecting to be delivered. And we do break that down a bit further. So you'll note that some of those terms are bolded. Where they're bolded, we're going to give you this further detail at the end of the unit. We have a scope of training assessment that will give you more detail on what you must cover and options on what you could also cover. So just to give you an example, this again works with, this is still the health and safety unit. So hazards was bolded in that first learning outcome. So what we're saying here, you must cover slips, trips, falls, working at height, manual handling, hazardous substances, tools and materials, and fire. That's what the assessments will be targeted at. What we've given you there as well is a couple of other options. So you could have confined space, plant, equipment, electricity, and this is where you can expand it to suit your environment. This they won't be assessed on, but it's for that where you've got the learners that you want to stretch and challenge a bit. This is where you can pick up things that you could be showing them. As I say, you can tailor that to your learner group and your local environment. So that's the changes in the units. We have sort of had focus groups on this with various providers coming in around the country, and we've also been visiting training centres. Overall, I think it's been very well received. I think they like the new style. I think they appreciate it. Does give them more scope to deliver interesting courses. Although this is on entry 3, I just want to quickly give you an idea about where it's all leading to. So entry 3, you see there on the left hand side, we've got an entry 3 award in Introduction to Construction and a certificate, and we've also got entry awards in an Introduction to the Trades. So I mentioned those 5 trades at the beginning: bricklaying, carpentry, painting, decorating, tiling and plastering. They'll be available at an award and at a certificate. Going on from there, obviously we've got the changes to the level 1s and the level 2s. So I don't want to steal Simon and John's thunder, so I won't go into those now. But what I will do is take you through what the entry 3 qualifications look like. There's a generic pathway, which is an Introduction to Construction. That's to give someone who's completely new to the industry, or all they know is that they want to work in construction, but they're not even sure what construction is. So this allows you to give them a bit more detail on that, and it allows them to try out 1, 2, 3 trades to get a feel of what they might be interested in. Originally, we did intend just to have that at an award and then a certificate. But looking at our figures, there's still quite a demand for specific entry 3 qualifications. So we didn't want to change that. We've kept those going. So there, as well as doing a generic pathway, you could also do a trade specific pathway in the 5 areas that we've spoke about. Now, to give you an idea on the structure, this is looking at the Introduction to Construction, the level 3 entry 3 award. 2 mandatory units in that award. Health and safety in construction. We're embedding health and safety in every qualification we're doing. It is vitally important that we get this right, and I think if we can start them thinking about it at entry 3, by the time they get up to level 2, it becomes just a common practice for them. As along with that, that's a 3 credit 30 TQT, or 30 hours. Sorry, GLH that should be. We haven't changed that. There's also a practical construction skills. Now that's a practical unit, so that's very much about getting their hands dirty. That's about using the tools, getting used to what the materials are. That gives them the options to explore at least 2 of the trades that we've said that we're covering at entry 3. Just to give them a taster. Obviously, if you've got people that are flying, there's nothing to stop you delivering some of the others as well, but the assessment is based on 2 of those trades. Leading on from that, we've got the certificate. Now, the mandatory units in the certificate are basically those 2 mandatory units in the award. And then what we've done, we've split it into 2 groups. Group A is very much construction related training. Now, there's 4 knowledge qualifications there and 1 practical. What they need to do is they must get 6 credits in that group, and then they get an additional 3 credits either using another unit from Group A or using some of those units that are in Group B. Now Group B is very much the employability, the personal skills training. These will still be in the old style, so these will still be learning outcome with assessment criteria. We're not going to be changing everything straight away, but the Group A are all brand new units. To give you an idea on what the units are actually covering, health and safety in construction, so the first of those mandatory units in the award and the certificate. It's going to take learners through the risks and hazards in construction, health and safety communication, so getting them used to how you're going to communicate the health and safety, whether it's like a toolbox talk at the start of a session, whether you want to give them risk assessments or get them looking at job specs, job sheets early on, and also give them a taster about life on site. How is it going to be communicated on site? Protective measures, that looks at both the PPE, and we'd expect them to be using PPE through all their training, as I'm sure you do. It also looks at collective protective measures. So obviously that's a preferable way of protecting health and safety to PPE. So I think it's really important that learners get to understand what's the difference between CPMs and PPE and when they should be applied. We look at their own and the employer's responsibilities for health and safety. So what should they do? Things like they should wear the personal protective equipment, they should apply collective protective measures, they should use tools properly. But also what's their employer's responsibility? So things like preparing the risk assessment, having a health and safety policy, ensuring that they're trained and competent for any task they were to undertake. And finally, in that unit, we look at housekeeping and hygiene. So our housekeeping is best practice, and good housekeeping prevents accidents and illnesses, and also the benefits of good hygiene in terms of always washing your hands, and again in sort of the current situation, very important, but always washing your hands before you eat or have a drink or have a smoke, but also touching on, we don't want to be working next to smelly people, so making sure that they look after their own personal hygiene. And I know trainers love teaching that bit. The second unit in the award is the practical construction skills. Now we went through this. In this unit, they're going to look at the different tools, equipment, and materials, and this is across the five areas. So we want to get a really good understanding of the different tools that are around. They're going to look at preparation. So here they would have probably worked, or you've already decided what were going to be their construction tasks, and you'll be taking them through the preparation and the process for getting ready to carry out. And then they carry out at least 2 of those basic construction tasks there. Like I say, if you've got people that are flying, there's nothing to stop you doing others, but they will be assessed on just 2 of them. And finally, and to make life a lot easier for the trainers, they're actually assessed on cleaning and storing the tools properly, cleaning the equipment, and tidying up the work area before they finish. So hopefully this means that going forward, the trainers aren't going to have to do a massive clean up at the end of the day, because they're going to be marking the learners on them doing it. We now look on some of the trade, or the trade qualifications we've got in entry 3. So this is the structure for bricklaying. All the others follow the same format. So there's an award where they do, as we've said, health and safety, vitally important. They're always going to be there, and then an introduction to bricklaying. The bricklaying, it's got 5 credits. It's 50 GLH, so it's going to give you plenty of time to let them sort of develop their skills, develop their understanding, almost developing their muscle memory when they're working. Going on, you've got the certificate. Now the certificate has the health and safety and the introduction as the award. In addition to that, there's an additional bricklaying unit in under construction, which is the preparation. So setting up mixing areas, preparing materials, cutting bricks, setting out the work area. The practical construction skills, so it might be that although they've done the big bricklaying unit, they want to have a look at, or you want them to have a look at some others, just to give them some choice. Obviously if they're doing the bricklaying, if they've done bricklaying as the mandatory, don't get them doing the bricklaying in that. Use one of the other 4. Then from then on, it's the same as we had in the introduction to construction, with the knowledge base, working in construction, personal well-being, environmental awareness, and first steps. There's also a group project in there. Should add that's very much focused on the group working together within the training environment. At level 1, we do expand that and we go into community projects. But I think entry 3, let's keep in the workshop. It could be that you pair them up or team them up with learners doing other trades, so they get used to working alongside other trades, not just the one they're studying. To get the certificate, they need to achieve 6 credits from that group A, so the construction units, and then an additional 3 credits from A or B. So what do we cover in those units? Well, the health and safety we've already gone through. That's exactly the same as we've got in the introduction. So bricklaying, they look at setting out. They build basic brickwork structure. I say you've got 50 hours for that. You've got plenty of time to do this one. We also look at making sure they're working safely and communicating effectively, so that they're clarifying information, they're asking advice, and they're able to talk to you about what they're doing. Now, one of the reasons we're keen on pushing this communication from the start is hopefully these learners are going from entry 3 all the way up to level 2. They'll be undertaking an apprenticeship, and with the new apprenticeship standards, there is the EPA, the endpoint assessment. Pretty much everyone in construction has a sort of a personal discussion, professional discussion. What we're doing here is starting to embed the idea of talking about what you do at entry 3. So by the time they get up to level 2, if they then do an apprenticeship, when they sit down to do a professional discussion, it's second nature to them. And again, across all of these, we'll have the same thing. We're getting the learners to clean and store the tools, equipment, and the work area, and they've got to do it because you're assessing them on it. To quickly let you see the content of the other practical units in the entry 3, so carpentry, they'll be doing basic carpentry joints, basic structures, fit, architrave and skirting, and again the work safely and clean up. Painting is preparing surfaces and applying paint to different surfaces, plus the working safely and clearing up. Plastering, basic preparations. I mean, that can include things like the mixing areas, getting surfaces ready, and then carrying out plastering tasks. And tiling, very similar to the plastering, getting the surfaces ready, and cutting and fitting tiles. Now, to support the assessment on that, we're developing the assessment materials, so you haven't got to worry about any of that part. That's all going to be available for you. So to give you an idea now, so let's move on to the assessment. And we're looking at different ways. we don't want it just to be that multi-guess test. We want to try and make it a bit more engaging for the learners. So what we're doing is selections of short tasks. Obviously, we did mention that anything practical is practically delivered. So we're setting all of these. You can print these off. These will all be on my NOCN. You can either print them off so they can fill them out by hand, or you can have them online. They can fill them out online, and it will be possible to turn these into sort of e-portfolios as well. You assess them. The trainers will assess them, and then we'll come out and do the EQA. So the internal assessment's carried out, and then we come out to do that final bit. Obviously, you've got direct claim status. Things are slightly different, but we still pretty much follow the same process. So when I mention there the selection of short tasks, so I'll give you an idea about a couple of those. So here's one from health and safety. Basically, it's identifying. We're giving them actually, I will say here, these are examples. So this is not necessarily going to be what's going to be in the assessment materials when it comes out there. So don't take a screenshot now and think, great, we've got it. We know give all the answers. We'll change it because we're nasty like that. But here, yeah, it really is just what are each of these telling you? Another example we're doing is sort of evidencing communication. So how are things communicated to them? How does a learner find out what the site opening time is going to be, or the PPE requirements? That is just a tick box exercise. They put a tick in the box where they think they find that information. There's going to be others as well. I mean, this is just a quick example, but they will all be ready and available for centres to look at, because obviously you want to be able to prepare for delivering this way before, hopefully, the learners are back in September. For each unit, there's also this identification or the assessment material, comments and photos. So we're sort of keen to use photos, especially for practical. We trust our trainers that the photos you're showing are the tutor's work, or the tutor's work. Hopefully it's not the tutor's work, hopefully it's the learner's work. But each workbook and that you'll get one of these for the unit, so you can initial once they've achieved it, when they achieved it, and any additional comments. There might be things you want to say like they've done this really well, or they need to watch out for X. Also means when the EQA comes out, they can look at that and they can see that all those learning outcomes have been achieved. To help you deliver this, we're going to give some other materials. So we're going to have these tutor guides. Moving on, the PowerPoint presentations are going to be developed. Again, it's a reference point. There'll be one for each unit. Now, they do end up being quite large. I think one we're doing at the moment is about 150 slides. But the idea is you download the PowerPoint and then you edit it to suit your delivery. Some centres might do 3 hours a week over 10 weeks. Others might do 6 hours a week over 5 weeks. So you can edit these PowerPoints down. Again, it's covering that core and the scope of training. So this one, it tells you in the when they would do the introduction to construction. So what are the jobs that are available? And we give you sort of a guide on. Tell them a little bit about carpentry. Tell them a bit about brickwork. I mean, we're keeping it to the sort of the basic trades at the moment. In addition, we can help you to just give just visual guides. So a hazard is, a risk is, and they've got these for works our way through each unit. So there's all the materials there. Again, you don't have to use it. But if there's 150 PowerPoint slides available that's going to help you train him, why wouldn't you? In addition, we've got how-to videos that are being produced at the moment, or were being produced. They've gone on a slight hold at the moment. These are literally 1-2 minute videos that will show simple tasks that you can just drop in as and when you need it. One of the things is also we're doing in those tutor guides is giving you links to external resources. So there's some great YouTube videos out there, and when we find them, we'll make sure they're included in. What I will say with these, they're not going to be published books. These are going to be PDFs that are available on the My NOCN. One of the sort of the positives with that is that it means that when we need to change them, we can. So if, and hopefully not, but if something was found that was incorrect, I mean, the amount of reviews they've gone through, I'd be really surprised now. But what you might find is, as you're starting to deliver this, you'll find additional resources that sort of free videos or free materials online. If you want us to add these into the tutor guides or the PowerPoints, just let us know and we can adapt. And also, we're going to look at sort of developing some mini quizzes just to sort of break the day up a bit, but obviously all construction focused. I mean, the ideas on that are sort of cartoons of a construction site and spotting the health and safety risks. Word searches, just to give them looking for the different trades in a word search. So from here, these are all going to be live by the 1st of August. That way we also ensure that they're going to have the funding, because obviously without the funding you can't deliver. And they'll be ready for you to start teaching come September this year. Now, we're not going to be closing down the current qualifications across from Entry 3 up to Level 2. We won't be closing any of those down for the first year. These will run in parallel, but we're looking for centres that want to use these almost as a trial run. I mean, there's so much review being done on them. I think we're all very confident that they're more than fit for purpose and that they're going to be sort of well received. But they'll be ready from 1st of August, delivery in September. You'll have the current qualifications running in conjunction. That's it from me. I will, as this was going to be a webinar, ask for any questions. Obviously, if you do have any questions, feel free to email us at the product.development@nocn.org.uk and we'll get back to you. Thanks for your time. Bye.